My name is Alex Howard. For nearly 20 years, I've been a therapist here in London. I am deeply passionate about helping people make real, positive change in their lives. Having been through therapy myself at different stages of my own life, I know how transformative it can be. That's why I started In Therapy, a series that follows the stories of brave participants as they go on therapeutic journeys with me. Join us as we go behind the scenes as people grapple with issues like depression, anxiety, and chronic illness, and join my mission to break the stigma around mental health and asking for help. This is In Therapy with me, Alex Howard. Can you hear me?
I can. Got there.
How are you doing?
Not too bad, thanks. Since we last spoke, I've been really, really bad, and also more recently been quite good. So a bit of both, really.
Yeah, it's based on your email, like a lot's been happening by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I think so. Can't remember. It was quite a long email, wasn't it?
I found myself having to make notes on the email in preparation for our session. It was sort of like a silent. There's a lot going on.
So yeah, I was feeling really bad after Christmas because we had loads of people off because they were getting pinged by this NHS track and trace app, which is the bane of my life. So I was the only manager left and one of only 2 reception trained people left as well for like 10 days. And I was still only doing my 6 hours, and I was thinking about it earlier. I was not getting myself stressed out with the fact that I was the only one and there was only 2 of us on reception. I think I'm pretty good at just thinking, well, it is what it is, and we can only do what we can do. So I wasn't getting myself stressed out with that. But as you know, reception's really, busy and noisy, and does make my symptoms become exacerbated. So the week of Christmas, so I worked up until Christmas Eve, and then I had Christmas Day and Boxing Day off, and then the 27th of December I was back in, and I actually don't know how I did it. I was just so fatigued, feeling sick, pain everywhere. But the old me, I can't let them down. I need to go in. If I don't go in, there's only what? No, actually, that day I was the only reception trained person in. So the nurses were helping out and stuff, and they were great, but they don't know everything. So I dragged myself into work that day.
But it sounds like also this sort of crazy time also became an additional catalyst for having the conversation that we talked about last time. Because do you want to just talk me through sort of how that went? Because it sounds like, that was quite a big thing for you to do, but it sounds like you got some sort of good outcome from it.
Yeah, so that actually happened before all of the Christmas stuff. I think it was maybe a week or 2 after we'd last spoken. So I had time to formulate what I was going to say. And brain fog or not, I'm not very articulate when I'm talking, but I'm very good when I'm writing. So I wrote everything down, and I thought I could just send this, but I didn't want to do that. So I wanted to do it in person because it could have come across quite arsey, the things I was saying in it. And I didn't want it to come across like that at all. I just sort of said, first of all, I wanted to say that I'm really grateful for everything that you've done so far for me. Following the occupational health referral, the occupational health therapist, or whatever they're called, suggested that I'd be the best person to suggest any reasonable adjustments that I think would be beneficial to me. And then yeah, just listed them off really, and sort of explained why. And actually, before the meeting, I thought I could probably do 3 hours a day on reception, but I was like, why am I pushing myself to do three? Let's just see if I
If
can
you
do
could do
two.
3, you should be doing 2, right? I mean,
Yes,
that's the reality.
exactly. So I thought, no, no, why am I doing that? Because three will probably then stretch to four, and I'll be really poorly still. So I went with two, which yeah, has been agreed.
And
9
how did
o'clock.
you just, given that it's not an easy thing to do, and it's sort of part of this bigger thing we've been exploring of you standing up for you, how did you feel in the moment having the conversation?
I felt really, really nervous. Like my voice was shaking. And I was like thinking, "Oh God, I don't want to cry," because um, I didn't. I wanted to do it from a place of strength, not of like weakness. I wanted to say, this is what I need. This is what I'm asking for. These are the reasons why. So yeah, I was really, really nervous. And I've worked with those guys for 5 years, but not in this way. I've always, for 3.5 years, I've been the achiever and
Yeah,
just working
you've
my.
always been in the role of being accommodating and saying yes and putting yourself out. So to actually own your vulnerabilities and your challenges and to be honest and ask for help is a big
Mm,
step.
yeah, it was. Yeah, emailed that to them. They said, "Oh, email, put it in writing," because I'd said anything that is agreed. Could I have it in writing? Um, so yeah, I sent that to them, and then I think maybe a week or so later, they responded to me and yeah, said that most of it was fine. Yeah, so it was
Okay.
good.
Good. And then that's also, I know, tied into another piece that you're writing about in your email, which is around sort of financial pressure and the reduced hours at work and asking your partner for a bit more financial support, but also wanting to make changes in terms of sort of career and sort of not having the kind of capacity right now to do that. So say a bit
Mm.
more about that.
Yeah, so reducing, a quarter of my hours means I've lost a quarter of my wages. So obviously I changed my car over so it was cheaper, and more economical running costs as well. So that's helped. Um, but I'm still like, obviously all my, I pay the mortgage and David pays for the rest of the bills of the house. So that's all covered. That's fine. Um, but I've got some other bills like the dog insurance and stuff like that. And that's all covered. But then with all the supplements that I need, on the nutrition side, they're not cheap. So after I've bought all them for each month, I'm not left with much at all, and I'm literally like counting the pennies and the pounds, which is really challenge like really difficult because I've never had to be like that. I'm really independent, um, and if I've wanted something, I'll just get it. Like even if it's something stupid, like I don't know, some new poo bags for the dog or something, silly
You know, such an
things.
exciting life.
I know, I really do. Or like my walking boots were leaking the other day, and I was like, oh God, I can't really afford to get any new ones. And then just things like that. Nothing big and extravagant, but I've always just had enough money to just get whatever I needed whenever. Um, and I was sort of saying that to my husband, and he'd just transferred a little bit of money to me. He said, "Oh, have you checked your bank? Have you checked your bank today?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Oh, check it. I've given you a present." So he gave me some money, bless
Very
him,
sweet.
which was yeah, really nice. But we've never done that, and it's a bit like my pride is a bit dented, because of that. And I know we're a partnership and stuff, but if you've been a certain way for I don't know what 17 years we've been together, but suddenly to have to say, "Oh, could you pay for this?" Or Phoebe's haircut yesterday, he pays for that now, and he pays for her food, and it was
There's a
always
sort of,
me that.
but there is a sort of running theme here, I think, of you feeling like you always have to be the strong one together, always being reliable, always standing on your own 2 feet. And I think part of this chapter for you is asking for help and letting
Mm,
people support you, and that being a sign of your strength in asking for help, not a sign of your weakness of needing to ask for help. And I also think this financial piece is a temporary. It's almost like you were constantly living at the edge of what you were able to do, and part of the logic of this is to back off that little bit, to get deeper rest, to be able to build up your capacity and your energy so you can then do more, and you have also got the capacity to do the extra pieces of work around potentially changing jobs or career directions and that sort of thing. So I think it's important to see it as temporary, but there is
Yeah.
something I think about, you know, for example, looking at the relationship with your stepfather and how, historically having not necessarily been treated by the men in your life in a way which has been respectful and supportive and caring, there's something very
Mm.
healing about letting yourself be supported in that way.
Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it. Yeah. It's massive. It's like a massive shift in my brain that's got to happen, hasn't it? Really, because like you say, I've always been like this.
Is there an inner critic piece that comes in here somewhere?
Probably, yeah,
Like, and
yeah.
if so,
Probably.
what do you think it's saying?
It's probably saying that I'm a bit of a failure. Um, you know, I've always been that independent person, and like I say, I've never never had thousands and thousands of pounds at my disposal, but feeling like I'm not good enough, I suppose. Like this is something else that my illness has caused me, which is it's really hard because so many things this condition is sort of robbed away, taken away from me, and there's just another one. There's layers and layers of it, isn't there? Like I only walk my dog. It's just affected everything in my life, everything. Um, And yeah, I think it probably is that achiever in there again,
Yeah.
or still. Yeah,
So I think doing some work on the inner critic around this would be really helpful.
yeah,
So
yeah,
maybe revisiting the inner critic module on the reset program and just sort of going back and working on defending, that where that voice is saying you're being weak or you're a failure or you're not looking after yourself financially, whatever it might be, just working on defending against that and actually recognizing that it's about one of the key pieces that you're working on is taking care of yourself emotionally. And it's not just you taking care of yourself, it's also allowing other people to take care of you as well.
mm.
You were saying in your email that over the last sort of shorter period of time, you have been feeling quite a lot better again. You were saying that at the start. So just say a bit more about that piece as well.
Um, I really do think that it's from the intermittent fasting that I've been doing. That because I don't know, I read something, and I had done it previously to lose some weight, but then I'd read something about chronic fatigue syndrome sufferers doing it, and I thought, well, it makes loads of sense that when your body's not digesting and doing all that, it's then got a chance to start healing itself a bit more. So I thought, well, I'll try it. I'll ease into it. So you're basically fasting for 16 hours, which includes overnight, and then eating in an 8-hour window. So I eased it into it gently, and I thought, well, if I can't do, if I can't do a 10, whatever it is, 10, 14 or something, then I'll just try a day. And I felt fine, so I just gradually extended it. And I find that so I normally eat between 12 midday and 8 o'clock because of the shifts that I do at the minute. That works best for me. And just before the fasting window ends, so maybe an hour before it ends, I feel amazing, like almost euphoric that I feel that good. It's really weird, and it's like really made me feel a load better.
Mm.
Um,
I think it's a really
yeah,
good example of, different things do work for different people. And I think a lot of people with chronic fatigue will really struggle and will have issues with their adrenals because they'll run out of energy and their body will then have to work harder to compensate. But
yeah,
everyone's different. And there are
yeah,
others where, yours being a kind of case in point, where there's a real positive that can come from, so I would always say, listen to your body. And if your body is saying this, yes, this feels good, that's more important data than the fact that some people with chronic fatigue would really struggle, for example, with doing
mm,
that.
yeah.
And
And
I just think, a big part of solving the puzzle is finding the different pieces which are most helpful and most supportive for you. You were also
Yeah.
saying about toxic positivity, which is a
Yeah.
favorite subject of mine. So say a bit, 'cause I think what you discovered there was important. And I think it sounds like it was another bridge into the work that we've been doing around listening to and honoring your feelings and emotions. So just say a bit about what happened there and how that's been helping you.
Yeah, so it was just an Instagram post, and it said positive forcing positivity is toxic, and it's just almost like a bit of a, oh, I've never thought about it that way. So obviously we've done a lot of work about listening, like feeling my feelings, and I feel like I am, but I've never flipped it and looked at it the way that, I'm always really positive. I always try to see the positive in literally everything, you know, having this illness, even my mum dying, the positives from that. And I think that isn't normal. I don't, like one of my friends said, excuse me, said to me in the past, you can be too positive, Sally. Uh, yeah. And I never thought about it like that. And I don't think I force it, but that's just almost the way that my brain is conditioned to always, okay, well, this shit thing's happened. What can you get out of it? What can you learn from it? What's a positive side of it? Excuse me. And I have been trying to embrace my inner negative person a little bit more.
Embrace the inner misery. Put the book title in there somewhere.
Yeah. And I always try to cheer people up, and I don't know, I think it's probably uses a lot of my energy doing that, doesn't it?
I think it does. And it's stressful because you're always having to effort, but
Mm.
also it becomes a block to getting the help and the support that you want from others, because you're always making things sound better than they might actually be, which means
Mm.
that when others might be there to go, oh, that sounds really tough, how can I help you? You sort of polished it and made it all sound better than it actually is. It is true that there are people which are focus too much on the negative, and learning how to look for the good and draw the lessons out of things is helpful. But it's almost like, you imagine it like a continuum, that if that's being realistic, if you're too far down this side, then yes, an element of how you've approached things would bring things to balance. But if you're constantly trying to make things better than they are, what goes up in a way which is unsupported comes back down again. Like in the stock market, a share gets hyped, in the end it crashes back down if it's not built upon reality. And if you're constantly trying to buoy yourself up when actually how you're really feeling is not that, by denying how you're feeling, you're also denying part of just the truth of how you feel, but you're also denying the information that might help you better address what's going on and better get some support. So just learning to be emotionally truthful with yourself, but also be willing to share that with others, I think is really important. If I was to
Mm.
sort of summarize this chapter of your healing path, I think it really is about you being almost ruthless in getting the support you need and shaping conditions in the way that you need to most help and most support your recovery. So holding your boundaries at work, asking for help financially and practically from your husband, resting when you need to rest, because you can't push your way to recovery. You can't trick your body out of this stage. You have to heal your body. And that means not constantly putting it under stress, but also taking the rest as and when you need it. And I think given how good you're starting to feel when you feel good, that shows us the potential. We just need to make those sort of peak moments your baseline. That's really what I think we're trying to achieve at this point.
But yeah, I do feel like I am getting there with the baseline. Yeah, definitely making loads of progress. And I think maybe I don't ever said it in my email, but I've been feeling my feelings more. So I've been feeling more fed up, but I feel physically the best I've felt in a long time, which is a bit weird. So
Say a
I
bit
don't
more.
know. So I've been trying to feel my feelings more again and not be positive Pam all the time. And I don't know whether that's then having a knock-on effect with my physical feet, like how I feel, my symptoms, but I feel the more that I do that, the better I feel physically. I don't know. I don't know if it's
I
a
think
thing.
it makes
It
sense
must
because you're
be.
actually then listening to how you feel physically, and you're honoring and you're getting help and support as you need it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's all slotting in, isn't it?
I think you're in a phase where you're integrating there's quite a lot of stuff that you know that sort of it's there. It's just kind of maturing in your understanding and in the sort of application in day-to-day life. But I feel very optimistic, not in a toxically positive way, but like genuinely optimistic about what the coming months are going to bring, because I just think your body's showing when you have the right support and the right conditions that you're feeling better and better. Like that peak, those good days are going up significantly. We just need to build the environment, the container to really support sustaining that. And I think as we do that, I think you'll see a significant change as a result of that.
Mm.
I think you're in a good place to get in a really great place, if that makes sense. I think we just need to really double down on the things that you know are important at this point. Be ruthless about them, be bold about them, and I think the impact of that will be really strong. Good. My camera card's running out again, but anyway, that's fine. Thank you, Sally. I will talk to you in 5 weeks.
Cool. Thanks, Alex.
Brilliant. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Following on from the call with Alex the other day, I do feel like I'm in quite a good place at the moment. Feeling quite a lot better with the adjustments that I have in place at work, so that's making a massive difference. Obviously we're in lockdown at the moment still, for goodness knows how long, so that actually does help me, because then it means that I can't push myself to go and see people, you know, friends and do stuff. So just being able to purely rest at the weekends does make a massive difference. So I think this sort of timing of this lockdown is going to be quite good for me. So yeah, that's it for today. I will try and do more regular updates. It's Saturday today. Check out the horrendous under eye bags that I've got. Basically I was fine until Thursday, when I went to work at 9 o'clock in the morning when I should have been at work at 12:30. I was actually needed later on in the day, so I did 9 till 12 and then went home and then went back in for 4 o'clock. On Thursday I felt absolutely fine, but the next day I woke up and I felt horrendous. So loads of pain, just exhausted. So I know that I can't do that now. At least I know where my limits are a little bit.
Hope you found this week's episode of In Therapy helpful. I think this episode with Sally really shows the importance that with any chronic illness or mental health challenge, or just when we're struggling in life, we have to drop our pride. Pride can be such a barrier to getting the support that we need. Next week, we're going to be catching up with Hannah. We're going to be talking a bit about some of the supplement reactions she's been having and how to navigate those, as well as doing some more work around her inner critic and the tendency we can all have to project that onto other people. Here's a taste of what's coming up next week.
So I said to a friend, I feel like I don't have good perspective on how often I talk about my illness. She thought that considering what I'm going through, I rarely spoke about it.
How did that feel to hear her say that?
It made a lot of sense, because I so badly want to talk about it. And I so badly want to feel like, the people closest to me understand.
It's like you're angry at the world for not supporting you, but actually the world does want to support you, but you're projecting a history onto the world.